Amphibians will. Coming up in the bulletin this evening, the headlines. President Bio declares his assets to the Anti-Corruption Commission. USAID offers $200,000 drugs to Ministry of Health. And ports workers trained on International Ship and Port Security Code. These and more lined up in news are on SLBC. Stay with us for more news. You're watching news on SLBC. President Julius Maada Bio has officially declared his assets to the Anti-Corruption Commission at an event held at State House. Commissioner Ben Kaifala, during the assets declaration by President Bio, noted that the ACC Act stipulates that assets that are declared documents should be handled with confidentiality by the ACC. Hawa Mosi has more.
I think to go through this as the leader, and I hope all other state officials can take this example, because the fight in corruption is a fight that we must win, and it's the fight we are going to wage if we are going to rescue this nation.
This was the official declaration of assets of the President Julius Maada Bio in the presence of the newly appointed Anti-Corruption Commissioner Francis Ben Kaifala and team at State House in Freetown. The Anti-Corruption Commission requires every public official to declare his or her asset every year. Corruption is endemic in Sierra Leone, which many people consider is responsible for the slow development of the country.
The Anti-Corruption Act, which governs our institution, stipulates how asset declarations are done and how we, as a commission, should manage it. And in section 119, subsection 13, it is clear that asset declarations that are given to us are secret and confidential documents, and we should treat them as such. That is the law, and as far as we are concerned, we have to follow the law.
The ACC boss also called on other public officials to follow the move by President Julius Maada Bio in declaring their assets. The World Bank team, headed by the Executive Director, Anne Goodbooth, also briefed President Bio about their mission in Sierra Leone. He informed the President that they are in the country to consult with the government as to how they can collaborate to implement fiscal discipline that can transform the economy. The Executive Director told the President that his mission will also hold discussions on how the new direction agenda and reforms of fiscal consolidation and other sectors of the economy. The World Bank Executive Director commended the government for working towards the transformation of the economy. He said the bank will support, amongst others, the energy and education sector. President Julius Maada Bio assured the team of his determination to recover the economy, as he desires the World Bank to examine the situation and step in as donor partners. The President said his administration is paying attention to education, which they believe as a government is the engine of development and can address poverty in the country. President Bio called on the World Bank team to closely assess the new direction agenda and see how they can work in line with it. In another engagement, the Chief Minister, Professor David Francis, also took the oath of office before President Bio at State House as Acting Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation.
Be rest assured, Your Excellency, that I will do my best to step up to the demands and responsibilities of this great office.
SLBC TV News are in Freetown. Hawa Mosi reporting.
$200,000 worth of drugs have been provided to boost the Connaught Teaching Hospital in Freetown. United States Agency for International Development, USAID, provided the funds through the Ministry of Health and Sanitation. This is to enable Ebola survivors access free health care services, Dolin Balina reports.
The Global Health Security Agenda is a complementary gesture in addressing gaps and challenges within the Free Healthcare Initiative, with special focus on Ebola survivors. However, the provision of drugs, which is estimated at $200,000, will be available in 20 hospitals to provide treatment to Ebola survivors with mental illness, eye, and other critical health problems. According to the Minister of Health and Sanitation, Dr. Alpha Wuri, the Ebola outbreak took the health system aback by exposing challenges facing the health sector. He described the provision of special drugs to the Free Healthcare Initiative as a way to expand and improve on health facilities for effective health service delivery. Dr. Wuri spoke of the need to make the free healthcare a law by an act of parliament.
The drugs you have just mentioned span treatment for eye, ENT, neurological issues, then mental health as well. I think the key issue here is the fact that we have expanded this for secondary hospitals and tertiary hospitals as a start. We are dealing with 20 hospitals at this time. We're not looking mainly at the peripheral health units yet. But it starts to show the relationship of referral between the district and the regional hospitals.
Director of the Connaught Teaching Hospital, Dr. Fadluddin, said the drugs will serve as boost in ensuring that healthcare workers have the necessary facilities to do their work. Chief Medical Officer Dr. Brian Makagbo said the drugs will be distributed to 20 secondary and tertiary hospitals nationwide. The United States Ambassador to Sierra Leone described the gesture as a show of commitment to improve health services under the Free Care Initiative.
So the U.S. government has supported the recovery and post-recovery policies and programs of the Ministry of Health and Sanitation over the past several years. Some of our key global health activity areas include training disease detectives with the Field Epidemiology Training Program, building capacity of local midwives, establishment of a multi-sectoral One Health program here in Sierra Leone, and fighting malaria through the U.S. President's Malaria Initiative.
Giving an overview of the Global Health Security Agenda, Dr. Kwame O'Neill said the project will support an effective service delivery within the Free Healthcare Initiative, which has been a challenge.
Port workers have gone through a 2-week refresher training on international ship and port security. This was to empower them on how to use the code as response to threats. The training was organized by the Sierra Leone Ports Authority and was meant to ensure maximum security at sea and maritime environment in entirety. Sheku Sumaila has more.
The International Ship and Port Facility Code, ISPS, is an amendment to the Safety of Life at Sea Convention of 1974. This has to do with maximum security arrangements for ship, ports and government agencies. It came into force in 2004 and prescribes responsibilities to government, shipping agencies, seaboard and port facility personnel to detect security threats and to take preventive measures. So, this refresher training of port personnel is a reminder that they have to be conscious of security in the work environment, as the world today is full of threats, especially from terrorists. The ISPS code will be used to detect and prevent, as safety at sea is paramount. Marine safety is core in this entire arrangement. Alhaji Wuro Jallo is the Executive Director of the Sierra Leone Maritime Administration. He commended the Sierra Leone Ports Authority and the Safety of Life at Sea SOLAS for organizing the refresher training, as it is necessary from time to time because technology is improving.
That these are trainings that have to continue from time to time in the form of refresher courses. I always tell people the maritime industry is always evolving. Things change. Conventions change, goals change, so we have to go as and when these things change. We have to come back and sit together and make sure we know exactly what the changes are.
The general manager of the Sierra Leone Port Authority, Abu Bangura, said using the International Ship and Port Facility Code is an international security standard requirement of all ports around the world, and that is why the International Coastal and Shipping Agency visits all ports around the world annually to monitor compliance. He called on port staff to be vigilant by ensuring that they put into practice what they've learned. He said people entering into the port must be well screened to ensure that no harmful items are brought in.
Every year or so, the American Coast Guards and other international organizations visit our ports to ensure that we are complying with those mandates. You must have a badge in the port. If you're not, it's non-compliance. And the port would ensure that we penalize people for that. And it would include banding.
Reporting for SLBC News, I'm Sheikh Usmaila.
The American Montessori Leadership Academy and the Women Investment Network have trained low-income women from Kobe and other parts of Sierra Leone, the slum areas, to strengthen their life skills. The training coincided with the establishment of holiday clubs at schools for kids, where they were taught in gymnastics, storytelling, science, arts and crafts, among others. Hawana Tubangura has more.
Women were given training in sewing, guidance counseling, leadership, character formation, business and finance management, civic responsibilities, and tailoring. The objective of the program is to enable them to be self-reliant. One of the women expressed appreciation to the team for the gesture, which, according to her, will empower them to be useful citizens. She implored organizers to extend more of such trainings to other parts of the country. Dr. Donald Usman and his wife, Joyce Usman, facilitated the event, which was climaxed with the presentation of startup kits to the women and certificates to the kids.
The Minister of Labour and Social Security has said that profit maximization should not be the only business choice for private security firms, but rather respect for workers is also very important. Mariam Asuma tells us the details.
The Minister of Labour and Social Security, Adekunle King, informed private security firm owners that he had received many complaints from their workers about their conditions of services, especially the minimum wage payments. He came down heavily on them that profit maximization should not be the only business choice for private security firms in the country, but rather respect for their workers is paramount. He said that their first duty is to ensure law and order is in place, otherwise the country will degenerate into a jungle, wherein only the strong will survive. Chairman, Private Security Company Association, Nimne Ponsford, appreciated the meeting with the minister, describing it as important because they also had the opportunity to explain some of their challenges. He said, as an association, they are against most of the companies who pay their workers below the minimum wage. Representatives from different private security firms explained that they are challenged with the competition from foreign companies. Some of their business partners are unwilling to pay for their services, and some of their employees refuse to work within the laws of their companies. In another development, the Minister of Labour and Social Security made an on-the-spot inspection visit at Balani & Sons Pharmaceutical Import and Wholesale Company at the Kutam Road Market in Freetown. The Minister of Labour told SLBC that it was also to ensure that the companies adhere to the minimum wage of the country, inspect the work permit of foreigners, and the Local Content Act. The Minister of Labour and Social Security also warned that preference be given to Sierra Leoneans for them to achieve higher status in the organization.
A book of condolence for veteran journalist and former press attaché to Sierra Leone High Commission to the United Kingdom Soy Sudan Cissé has been opened at the Harian Sane Hall / headquarters on Campbell Street. The Sierra Leone Association of Journalists and Sports Writers Association organized the ceremony. Hawana Tubangura was in attendance.
Soy Sudan Cissé was the first president of SWASL who ensured that the association went beyond Freetown. He served as editor of the Independent Observer and Update newspapers. Until his demise, Mr. Cissé was press attaché to the Sierra Leone High Commission in the United Kingdom. In their tributes, several speakers from SLAJ, SWASL and Guild of Editors spoke about the good works of Soy Sudan Cissé, his mentorship, kindness and contributions towards the promotion of journalism in Sierra Leone. They assured the family of their support. The younger brother of Soy Sudan Cissé, Abdul Karim Cissé, said the family appreciates SLAJ and SWASL and requested that they continue to remember him in prayers.
Many of the country's historical heritages are not known by many Sierra Leoneans. One such historical place is Cape Lighthouse, one of the oldest sites that was constructed by Portuguese in 1812. Cape Lighthouse has existed for over 200 years. Our reporter Joseph Ture finds out whether the facility is still functional.
Sectors for economic development is tourism. Historical sites attract the interest of tourists that lure them to make visitations to learn more about the history of these sites. A major challenge facing the tourism sector in the country is the limited publicity of our historical relics and sites. This has affected the inflow of internal and external tourists and consequently a huge loss of revenue for government. The Cape Lighthouse in Aberdeen is one of these historical places which has been in existence for over 200 years. Cape Lighthouse was built in 1812 by the Portuguese with a radar tower of 15 meters high with 56 steps. This historical site stopped working over 15 years ago. The main function of the Cape Lighthouse was to signal to incoming ships that they have arrived in Sierra Leone and guide to prevent them not to sail around the rocky areas of the sea. All of these have become a memorable history for the country and touristic income generation site. Former Chief of Cape Lighthouse keeper Konda Yaya Mansewe gave a thorough explanation about the historic site.
They had a glass bottle, they used it before during the Portuguese days, where there is no NP light or neither generator. They use gas on it. So what about this? Well, this one we call it the sector light, showing the ship's way for the rocks, for above the rocks. You can see the rocks extend to that white point. Can you explain to us what is this? Well, this is the lighthouse. It turns like this to show the ship's way to come in Freetown port of Sierra Leone. So when it turns, the light set this flash house to the ships. About 200 and 300 miles for the ships to enter in Freetown port.
Because much has not been done to publicize Cape Lighthouse, Mr. Mansoret told the SLBC that only few people visit this site weekly. The retired Cape Lighthouse keeper called on the authorities concerned to improve the historical site as to attract more tourists to the site.
The Deputy Minister of Technical and Higher Education, Dr. Turad Senesi, has called for the speedy completion of rehabilitation work on Frabe College campus. The Deputy Minister made the call during his visit to the university to look at ongoing work. Aguna Patrick Nara was with the team and he filed in this report.
The over $29 million project was to give a facelift to Forabe College, University of Sierra Leone. The project is slated to complete in March next year, but not without challenges, says project consultant Thomas Koroma. He said the project was supposed to start in 2012, but delays in payment of funds by Badia delayed commencement of work until 2016.
It actually took us close to about 9 months or so for us to be able to get the squatters out of this place before they could start the works on this particular building.
He said the rehabilitation work calls for selected buildings and not the entire structures.
So, with that in mind, we had to cut down on certain facilities, especially those related to the road network, because the road network was part of the project. The electrical component too, part of it, there was a solar component which was eliminated, and we barely had to do strictly going ahead with the rehabilitation of the facilities like the admin building, the lecture theaters, and a few others, and the new facilities which were proposed.
The Deputy Vice Chancellor, University of Sierra Leone, Professor Lawrence Kamara, said the work was delayed because the university administration was not part of the monitoring system, which he says has now led to serious sitting accommodation problem as lecture rooms are not enough. The hostels, he says, are not yet ready, and that is causing inconvenience, so much burden for especially provincial students. Professor Kamara says he is not satisfied with the pace at which work is going.
Is this building going to be left in this state? It would be better if you left it that way.
Which building is this?
This is the mathematics building one, the first building. In this state at all. And you ask people, they tell you, oh, this was not part of the project.
He calls for a speedy implementation of the project. During his inspection of the work on campus, Deputy Minister of Technical and Higher Education Dr. Turad Senesi urged the company to speed up work on lecture rooms, staff offices and hostels before the end of August. He said the structures should be ready for use come October and the entire project completed by March next year.
There is no way we are going to wait and wait and wait and wait endlessly. The university has to move on. My observation is that you've not prioritized. That's my observation. You should have prioritized certain areas. The student hostels, the classrooms, the offices. But you are taking everything at a go. I don't think it is correct. But let me just come to the issue about mathematics building and then the other building. I mean, you made the... It is not the fault of the university administration. You have the contract document. You know exactly what you are supposed to do. So if there was a blunder on your part, you try to address it. You have to. You can't start demolition of a whole structure and then thereafter you say, okay, there was a mistake, and then you abandon it. You can't do that. Try to fix it up as quickly as possible, and you make sure that it is usable and the people have to use it.
He assured them of government support, ensuring that they have what is needed to complete the project. He called on the university administration to work closely with the company for a speedy work to be done, as students are badly in need of the facilities.
To help mitigate the dangers of natural disasters in the Freetown municipality, a 3-month concurrent work plan has been set to address immediate problems that would need urgent intervention. According to the mayor of Freetown, Yvonne Akisoya, Council has introduced plans for flood mitigation and beautification of the Central Business District. Rose Konima Stevens has more.
Many areas in Freetown are now prone to flooding. Abu Kanu is a welder at Thomas Street. He explained how flood water from Samba Gutter disturbs his business and other residents.
This is the coulter that's been in this place. So the coulter, the water take the coulter from the street, bring it here. Is that the problem? If you watch the bottom of the bridge, you can see a crack there, heavy crack there. So we are afraid, people afraid to cross this.
Many areas in Freetown are now prone to flooding. Abu Kanu is a welder at Thomas Street. He explained how flood water from Samba Gutter disturbs his business and other residents.
This is the coulter that's been in this place. So the coulter, the water take the coulter from the street, bring it here. Is that the problem? If you watch the bottom of the bridge, you can see a crack there, heavy crack there. So we are afraid, people afraid to cross this street. Then cars are coming to park but nowhere because they are afraid of the crack of the bridge. That's the problem of us.
The situation needs urgent intervention as Freetonians await detailed planning and development of the city. The mayor of Freetown informed heads of different institutions that flooding is now a common hazard that regularly affects several parts of the city. She noted that heavy rainfall, construction of dwellings in waterways, deforestation, inadequate garbage collection, poor design of the existing drainage infrastructure, and poor maintenance have heightened the problems.
And that's where we look at health, water, sanitation, and housing. We obviously have a serious housing deficit in Freetown. The fourth cluster is urban mobility, and that's where the interest of the council is in transportation, traffic management, and road maintenance. So the plan to transform Freetown is really looking at those 4 clusters and the 14 sectors I mentioned. And what we want to do now is work with the Freetonians first to prioritize what are we going to tackle first. And we want to consult Freetonians and understand what people think is most important. Then, how do we do it? And for this, we're going to be working with private sector, with implementing partners, with ministries and departments and agencies, with communities.
She furthered that the clearing of 36+ key waterways and drainage infrastructures and undertaking urgent remedial works are among the immediate short-term interventions.
CSOs, academics, we really want to get for each of those sectors the experts who can together agree with us what should be the target for Freetown for that sector, and then what will be the interventions, and then we will make it our responsibility to ensure that these are implemented and that we track and monitor and we continuously report to the people of Freetown so that they can hold us accountable. We want to transform Freetown, and we're going to do it together.
SLBC News host Konima Stevens.
You're watching News Hour on the Sierra Leone Broadcasting Corporation. More news. The Chairman, National Commission for Privatization, Umaru Napoleon Nkrumah, together with his team, has made an unannounced visit to the Sierra Leone Road Transportation Corporation at Kisi to get first-hand information on the operations of the corporation. He also visited the Guma Valley Water Company main dam and other reservoirs in the western area, where he was updated about challenges facing the company. Joseph Toure went along with the team and he filed in this report.
Access to transportation for citizens is paramount for every responsible government. Concerns have been raised by the public over the limited means of transportation. Chairman, National Commission for Privatization, Umaru Napoleon Nkrumah, during an unannounced visit to the corporation, was updated by staff about the numerous challenges facing the corporation, including limited funding for maintenance of buses, worn-out machines, unprofessionalism of some of their drivers, leading to damages of buses, limited amount of buses to cover most parts of the city and the provinces, insufficient spare parts for vehicles, among others. They also briefed the chairman that out of the 100 buses that were bought by the past government, only 60 are operational, 34 are under maintenance, and 9 are write-off.
These Chinese buses, with the arrangement, was a percentage of spare parts that if we had prioritized them in the category of fluid parts, you probably will not see that many here. But what then happened is, with the contract that was obviously signed, the Chinese have not been fully paid. They decided to cease forth.
Chairman, National Commission for Privatization, Umaru Napoleon Nkrumah, said he is concerned by the state of affairs of the Sierra Leone Road Transport Corporation. He assured the management and staff that he will put the reports together and present it to the President for consideration and ways to privatize the corporation.
The issue of competition, as well, is a very serious one. It's very good close to the heart of the President. That's why I came here today, to see what is on the ground, to see what we are going to take on. I embark on duties as chairman of the National Commission on Property. They've been struggling, trying to provide services for the people of this country, but it's not an easy one. It's a very difficult task, and you say, based on what I've explained to me. And the range of issues he has applied, and also it's a very, very, very difficult task they are under. But we're hoping for that we'll drive the process forward and be able to change the narrative.
In another engagement, the chairman also visited the Goma Valley Water Company Dam at Mile 13, the Spur Reservoir, and the Regent's Mini Dam. The main dam was constructed in 1967 for 500,000 people in the Western area. General Manager of the Goma Valley Water Company, Bankole Mansuri, disclosed the challenges they face presently, which includes low rainfall, which affect the distribution of water to the city, limited storage facility, and encroachment into water catchment areas. He was also briefed about the Freetown Water Supply Rehabilitation Project to alleviate the constraints of water in the city. The project with support from DFID cost nearly £38 million and will be completed in 2020.
This month, the rain has not been coming at all. Even when we have rains in town, I understand it doesn't rain here. It's very windy, but in terms of downpour, not that much. We're hoping that it will be different in July. But normally the dams be in July.
The chairman expressed disappointment on some of the issues highlighted and registered government's commitment to improve on the water sector.
We want to prepare a strategic vision with regards moving forward in all these public enterprises. But I will not be able to have a clear picture of everything if I don't come myself physically to see. So I decided to visit this facility today to see what it is, what it looks like, and what are the problems associated with it, so that we can be able to design a framework as to how to improve on it and be able to provide enough sufficient water for the inhabitants of Freetown.
He also promised to present the report to the president for consideration and will have regular follow-up meetings with them.
And for entertainment news now, the Kenyan actress Lupita Nyong'o has been named among Hollywood 2019 Walk of Fame honorees, and the American R&B singer Alicia Keys has finally taken notice of the viral video of a young 13-year-old girl. For these and more, let's join our entertainment reporter, Mohammed King Milan Bangura.
You get to decide what kind of king you are going to be.
Oscar award-winning actress Lupita Nyong'o has been named among Hollywood 2019 Walk of Fame honorees. Lupita is among the 28 honorees list that has along 3 black actors. Lupita Nyong'o is a Kenyan-Mexican actress, the daughter of Kenyan politician Peter Anyang Nyong'o. She was born 1st of March 1983 in Mexico City, where her father was teaching, and was raised in Kenya from the age of 1. She attended college in the United States, earning a bachelor's degree in film and theater studies from Hampshire College. The Hollywood Chamber of Commerce announced the Walk of Fame class of 2019 on Monday, and the Black Panther star was among those selected in the film category. Lupita, who bagged an Oscar for Best Supporting Actress in 2012 for her role in the movie 12 Years a Slave, is listed among those to be honored in the film category, alongside Alan Arkin, Kristen Bell, Daniel Craig, Robert De Niro, Annie Hathaway, Tyler Perry, and Gina Rowlands. Lupita's nomination has been met with mixed reaction, with some feeling like it was too soon for her to receive a Walk of Fame star, considering that other actresses who have been in the industry longer before than her are yet to be honored.
She's just a girl and she's on fire.
Meanwhile, the American R&B singer Alicia Keys has finally taken notice of the viral video of a young 13-year-old Kenyan girl singing to one of her major hits, Girl on Fire.
She's just a girl and she's on fire. Hotter than a fantasy, lonely like a highway.
The girl Gracious Emani from Githuria took the internet by storm with her vocals and melodious voice as she performed the song to a group of foreigners some 2 weeks ago. The online community showered her with praises that even led to a search for her after some well-wishers expressed willingness to help nurture her talent. She told Kenya TV on how she came about singing the song of Alicia Keys that went viral.
I decided to give them what God had given me. So I decided to sing. When I sang, everyone was like, stop, you have to let us get our phones out. Wow, that you have a nice voice and all that. Okay. So they got their phones out, and Brittany is the one who took my picture. She's the one who took the video and posted it.
Gracious' father, who is also a music producer, was at first not happy of his child's being put on social media, but later apologized to the lady who let the video went viral.
Yeah, no, my manager called me. My manager, I'm also an artist, I sing. Yes. So my manager called me, she's based in the US, and told me, come on, stop being angry. That's her time, her stars has shone, so let her be. So I wrote to the lady again and said, I'm sorry. You apologize. I apologize.
It took 2 weeks for the Grammy Award winner to finally take notice of Gracious. Keys shared the viral video on her social media platforms with the caption, "Look at this beautiful soul, shine." The American singer's Kenyan fans urged her to mentor the young girl, while others took opportunity to brag about her roots. With such talent and exposure, the sky is the limit for this young, talented 13-year-old Kenyan girl.
She's just a girl and she's on fire. Harder than a fantasy, lonely like a highway. She's living in a world and it's on fire. Spilled a catastrophe, but she knows she can fly away. Oh, she's got both feet on the ground and she's
giving me goosebumps there. Talents at its peak. Quite amazing. You're still watching news on the Sierra Leone Broadcasting Corporation, and still on the entertainment part. Let me send you over to Esther Samuel for the latest sports news.
It's a hearty welcome to Sports Update on Newsa in the final edition of the week. In this edition, football is not for Africa, a statement from some Africans used to describe the participation of African teams in the World Cup. Most people believed African teams are incapacitated to match their European counterparts, while some say FIFA favors other teams over the African ones. However, African teams keep hope alive every World Cup to get them dashed at the quarterfinals. Alice Mayaba Thompson takes a look how prematurely the African hope was shattered in the Russia 2018 World Cup.
Has an African team reached the semi-finals of the World Cup. Cameroon in 1990 and Ghana in 2010 came very close. Most of the time, African teams will not move beyond the preliminary round. Russia 2018 has been no different. With only 14 days in the games, every African team in the tournament has been eliminated at the group stage. The continent had 5 representatives in the 2018 World Cup: Senegal, Morocco, Tunisia, Nigeria, and Egypt. Africans had high hopes for the Super Eagles of Nigeria, whom they thought would have qualified to the round of 16. Hopes were shattered when this giant of Africa was defeated by 2-1. The Teranga Lions of Senegal were then seen as a ray of hope for Africa. Alas, this West African team was eliminated from the 2018 FIFA World Cup, just like their big brother Nigeria, after losing 0-1 to Colombia in the final Group H game. The Teranga Lions, who were the only remaining African side in the tournament, became the first side in history to be eliminated from the World Cup based on their fair play points. Senegal ended their campaign level on points with Japan, who also lost their final game 0-1 to Poland, but were eliminated because they had more yellow cards than the Japanese. Japan and Senegal had the same number of points, goal difference and goals scored. The only yardstick to eliminate any one of the two was disciplinary record, and the sledgehammer, unfortunately, fell on Senegal, the last hope for Africa in the 2018 World Cup. Japan progressed with 2 fewer yellow cards than the African side. This will be the first time since the round of 16 came into being in 1986 that there will be no representation of African side. What is responsible for Africa's poor performance in the World Cup? Joseph Sise, a young sports analyst, had this to say.
To deal with the African players that are not playing effectively across Europe, and also the video assistant referees in terms of taking decision. If you watch the match against Colombia and that of Senegal, we saw one of the decisions taken. Even Africans are not really appreciate that kind of decision.
Although Sierra Leone's presence in the World Cup remains a dream, football fans are glued to the games, cheering countries from other continents. How do they see an early African elimination in this year's World Cup?
Really, it's a sad day. I mean, like, consider the fact of Senegal being one of the most supportive African teams that have been in the 2002 World Cup up to the quarterfinal stage. And this time around, they have 4 points in their first 2 games. Everybody was anticipating that they would qualify for the next round. It was a shock. The stage at which, the level at which they're going out, I mean, based on many yellow cards, they and Japan have the same points, and Colombia happens to win the game by a goal to 0. It was really a sad day for Africa.
As for my own view, Africa, we are participating in the World Cup in the past years very well, but this year I can say that we have not performed good. Okay. More especially Nigerians. The Nigerians have a good opportunity to knock Argentina down, but definitely it was very bad.
What do you actually think is responsible for that? Well,
I can say that our league is not very good right now, more especially Sierra Leone, and our very sponsor, they cannot afford for push a young footballer to another stage. So as my own view is that Africa, we need to push very hard to achieve our dream.
The status in which Africa was playing today, it was amazing. It seems like they had the game, but in another way, it turned out to be a failure. Being you seeing the way the players are playing gave me a cool mind and had a mindset that today's Senegal game was to be Africa's joy, but it came out bad by Senegal losing. So,
SLBC News, Alice Mayama Thompson, Freetown.
Well, tomorrow the round of 16 of the 2018 World Cup commences in Russia, as Portugal will be locking arms with Uruguay, while Argentina will be locking arms with France in the round of 16. That's the latest update in sport. I'm Esther Samra. Thanks for watching.
Thank you for watching News Hour on the Sierra Leone Broadcasting Corporation. As we close, a recap of our headlines. President Bio declares his assets to the Anti-Corruption Commission. U.S. aid offers $200,000 drugs to Ministry of Health. And port workers trained on International Ship and Port Security Code. I am Phoebe Sweel. Have a good night and a pleasant weekend. Cheers.